Good evening. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay.
Good evening.
Okay, most of you are here, so we can start.
Ya, la cabeza prendida.
Just give me a moment to move this so I can continue with the presentation. Well, today, you already know that I'm Svetlana Kovalek, but most of students know me as Teacher Lana. So I don't know if you heard about it, if you're aware about that. So I'm glad to see you, and finally. So I remember some of your names. I'm very happy about the participation and the progress. So today's session that we have is a kind of a general review of everything, all main points that we have been able to see in our course. And maybe you have some doubts, or you're looking for some suggestions how to improve on certain things. So I will give you some time, okay, to ask some questions at the end of the presentation. So let's start. Today, I just want to recall the main topics, and I divided them into three sections. So reading process, writing process, and actually some feedback to some common mistakes that most of the students make, okay? When writing, obviously, when we are writing academic text essays, okay? So here we go. When we started talking about the reading process, the most important thing we had to realize that when we read, we need to go through some stages. So we need to consider pre-reading stage, where you start connecting your knowledge to what you are about to read. We might analyze the topic of the text. You can connect your interests to the text, and maybe have some kind of predictions about the text. Okay, so then actually you take this process of reading. You read the text. While reading, we might take notes. In fact, at the end of the course, this year, the course was built that way, that note taking was in the kind of last unit, almost last units. And we were able to see and maybe practice a little bit the outlining. Okay, and that is also way of taking notes before, while reading, before writing, and after writing, to see how our text organized and how topics are related to each other. So we also discussed about skills and strategies. I will give you just the next slide, a little bit like recall what is the difference between skills and strategies. But to finish the reading process, when we finish reading the text, after that, we need to try to respond to the text, which means in the English class, let's say, how would it look? We would ask questions, teacher would prepare questions, so you would be asking questions and answering. Oh, you might keep your notes, and maybe have the list of readings that you have, keeping like a journal of the ideas that you take from the text. Exploring was the next text. So here, probably you would read again the text, look for unfamiliar words. So more here, think deeply about the text and relationship to, let's say, what this text is mainly, how would I say, for, right? Like, what are we reading it for? Yeah. And apply the information. What is the last one, right? You have that information, and in this case, then we would be using the ideas from the reading text for our writing, thesis, research paper, essays, or any other assignments. Okay. So going back to the reading stage, well, we need to use skills and strategies. Remember, skills is something that we have already. We develop. This is what we use kind of unconsciously. Yeah. But teachers can also help develop these skills. And for this reason, we would be using different strategies. Yeah. And when a strategy is used a lot, so then it becomes what? Effortless and automatic. You use it automatically and it becomes a skill. Like an example, when teacher prepares the text and has a list of questions. So students need to answer to these questions. And when it becomes a skill, so when you read the text, you start asking yourself questions without having a teacher, right, to prepare those questions for you, and so on. Okay, so basically that's what we were looking at in our first and second unit. And here we go. This is like a bombarding of all the mind map of everything we saw in the following several units. That was the whole writing process. Before starting, you just need to understand what sentence is. When somebody asks you to write a sentence, it doesn't mean a line. Okay, a sentence, it's when you have a period. And a sentence has always subject and a predicate, which is usually we say verb, because all the predicate can be only verb. Yeah, not other parts of speech. Subject can be pronoun, noun, and even verbs with gerund could be also subjects, right? Or phrases could be subjects. So the sentence, usually complete sentence, has the complete clause. So in concept way, in academic writing, we would call the clauses. If it is a clause, it is a sentence. If it is not a clause, it is not a sentence. It's just a phrase. Yeah, it's like an extract from the sentence. So as soon as you understand what clause is, we need to also remember that there are two types of clauses, independent and dependent. Independent, those can be existing alone, so they can just become one sentence. Simply independent sentence does not need anything. But dependent sentence cannot be written independently, alone. It always will follow independent. So dependent always goes together with another sentence that must be independent. Okay, so here we saw another topic, that kind of complex topic, because many students here, the main mistake is that they confuse complex sentences with the compound sentences. Yeah, so it's all about concepts, but I don't think that it affects your writing if you actually know how to write sentences. You understand that you write different types of complex sentences, but how they are called, well, with the time you might just review and recall, but the most important is know how to write the sentences and complex sentences, because the list of simple sentences will not make your writing formal, academic. Yeah, so the range of variety is really necessary. So just a quick review. Remember when we were talking about simple, so just it's one clause, subject, verb, complement. Yeah, simple sentence. Compound sentence, it's already a sentence that can consist of two independent sentences. And do you remember the conjunctions that we use? They are called coordinating, but I gave you a help, and I think you watched the video about fun voice. Yeah, so this is the abbreviation for the first letter of each conjunction, like for, and, but, or, right, yet. So these words are conjunctions, and they form two independent sentences, form linked with the conjunction, form what? Compound. Yeah, and complex had another abbreviation, was AWUBIS. That's not easy to remember, but it was something like several letters together and different subordinating conjunctions. So, and you need to have always one independent and one dependent. Yeah. So what is the difference between complex compound and if I say complex compound? What is complex compound? Here, it's kind of easy. You need to have two independent sentences. Okay, two independent and one or more dependent. So that's why it will be called compound complex. But if you have one compound, one independent, it's compound, one independent, dependent, complex. So that was the topic. In the next unit, we were trying to figure out what is the range of types of sentences. After that, guys, we moved to writing paragraphs. Yeah. And when I have face-to-face classes, I like visualize a lot of things and helping students understand what paragraph is. Paragraph is kind of a hamburger. You need to have two pieces of bun. Yeah, if you don't have top one, what it becomes, it is not a hamburger anymore. It's kind of an open sandwich. Yeah. Open sandwich. If you have a top bun and you don't have a bottom one, well, then everything is going to fall. So it is not a sandwich. It will be like a salad, yeah, and banana on top. So then, what is the top one? It is a topic sentence. It's where you give the reader what my paragraph will be about without announcing it. Yeah, you don't say my paragraph is going to be about, yeah. So you just write the main idea, okay? And what is the bottom one? It's a conclusion. You need to conclude the sentence, the paragraph, like kind of reinforcing what I was talking about in the whole paragraph, right? To remind us what all this thing was about. And then what do we have inside? Well, if you just have a piece of meat, will the hamburger be delicious? Then it's not, right? Some of you like to put some cheese, some of you like double meat, tomato, obviously. You might not like onion, but still it's part of the hamburger and lettuce. So all of these guys are supporting sentences. If you just have one supporting sentence, one piece of meat, it's going to be like, kind of short paragraph consisting of 3 sentences and not really strong because it does not give enough ideas to help me understand what I'm reading about. Okay, so as you see, to understand and remember, if you want to write a good enough paragraph, I don't say perfect, yeah, because perfect would be longer with more supporting sources, but just short. The shortest paragraph usually must consist of at least 5 sentences. Introduction, conclusion, and 3 sentences that would give me a little bit of that part of a hamburger, not being just a sandwich or bread and meat. Yeah. And there is one more thing about hamburger. I don't think it will be delicious if you do not have mayonnaise, right? If you don't have it, ketchup, right? Catsup. So then it's kind of dry. Yeah. Do you like hamburger without ketchup and mayo? No. You need to have something to make it sticky. And what is the paragraph? What makes our paragraph sticky? Transitions, formal connectors. Yeah. However, in conclusion, therefore, on the other hand, in addition, for example, all of these help the reader easily follow your ideas. So that becomes coherent. Yeah, easy to read. Okay, you prepare the reader for the next sentence, for the next idea. Okay, and obviously, well, that's unite. Yeah, unites, and you need to be sure that all the ideas supporting sentences that you present are united. They must be all about the same main idea of the paragraph, topic, sentence. Yeah. So how it usually look when I use additional source. So the main mistake the students make is using a secondary source as a topic sentence or concluding sentence. Yeah, when you use a quote or paraphrasing or summarizing, the main purpose of using secondary source is to support my ideas, my paragraph, what I'm writing. And for this reason, I will have a topic sentence, which is mine. This is what I want to talk about. Then you might have kind of a sentence of a supporting idea to support that topic sentence. And then say, you know what? It's not just me who's saying that. I have another educator, and I will say, according to Krashen, the same thing this guy is talking about, yeah, in his book. So then you use supporting source to help have this credibility to your supporting detail, to your ideas. Yeah. So that's why supporting idea as a secondary source cannot be the first sentence of the paragraph and cannot be the last one, because the last one is a concluding sentence. Yeah, it's not a supporting one. Otherwise, your meat and tomato and lettuce is going to fall down. It's like, and so what? There is a need of these questions. So what? Yeah, and you can finish. Therefore, and have like a restatement of a topic sentence. So then paragraph is solid, united, coherent, and juicy as a hamburger. Yeah. Okay. So here was paragraph. What was next? We were talking also. Okay, different types of texts we were talking about. But well, let me just have also like kind of quick reminder. Remember this task we had? Task about topic sentence. Yeah. So we need to remember these points, not to be confused. What is the topic sentence? So as I said, it cannot be a secondary source. It cannot be quotation. You cannot start according to Professor Krashen. No, it's not. It's a secondary source. What is the topic? What is the topic of the paragraph? So main idea in the topic sentence cannot be too specific taken from the source and cannot be too general. You need to have your topic clear enough. Yeah. So don't, it must tell the reader what the main idea of the paragraph, and everything in the paragraph is going to, all the supporting details, secondary sources will talk about that first topic sentence. Yeah. Describe what it is. And well, usually it is the first one. And I do suggest you to use it as a first sentence. When you become professional writers, sometimes you have this, you find this trick and you write it as a second sentence. But you need to first practice using it in the first sentence. Yeah, so when you become experts, you can move on and maybe have, if it is necessary, as a second sentence. And as I told you before, do not announce the topic. Not in introduction, not in the paragraphs, right? Like in this essay, I will be talking about. No, this is announcement. So you don't announce it. You just go straight to the, what is the topic sentence, right? So, for example, there are a lot of advantages of taking online classes. So you're going to talk about what in your paragraph? Online classes, this is a topic. What is leading? This is the leading idea. And what will be my supporting details? Advantages, right? So you will be writing the different advantages, right? About of taking classes online. Okay. So let me see. Okay, I already mentioned there are 3 different ways you can cite someone else's work. So remember, it is quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing. What do we use it for? So summary, don't confuse it with the summary of the book. Okay, so do you read a book and somebody just does it, oh, just write the summary of the book, and you just summarize the book, even though summaries also have structure. But when you use summary, usually you read the book and you may even put it into one sentence. okay, into 2 sentences. If it's a short essay, it cannot be long paragraph. Otherwise, it will take the whole style from your writing. It will be somebody's style. Yeah, you need to have it only to support your ideas. Okay, so if it's thesis, like you're writing a research paper, well, maybe you will have 3 sentences to summarize something, but usually it is short, not too long. Okay, so don't confuse it with the reviews of the movie or something like having a summary of something. So summary is just a way to cite someone's work instead of um, paraphrasing or quoting. So you just can read the research paper and state, well, Krashen did the research. His research was about this strategy, okay, learning strategy. And he proved that blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that is just main idea of the whole research. Okay, what else we saw? We also need to remember steps you must follow when quoting, paraphrase, and summarize a source. Yeah, that's what I said. Always try to introduce your idea. Introduce, right? The quote, if you use quotation, for example, yeah? So first you introduce it. You need to have your style, your own sentence. Then you use the source, right? And you use the quote. Don't forget to cite it. You really need to cite it. So always quotation and name, year, and page. Yeah, there are 2 ways to cite it. And obviously follow up. Follow up is to kind of give more of your style about what you had in the supporting sentence. Yeah. So, and well, according to APA style is American Psychological Association. There are different styles to cite sources, guys, but you can use citation machine. There are many you can just look like that. Or just citation machine. Put it in the Google search machine, and you will find citation machine. And you can put all the information about the book, and that machine, that application will make the citation for you and will make the correct reference for your text. And then you check. Sometimes citation machine, I don't know, kind of gets silly and makes it maybe you don't complete it correctly. But I give you also several copies. I searched so many resources, but those that I shared with you are the best because they have short explanation and short examples. But in short, what is citation? Don't confuse it with citar, because sometimes students tell me, es citar. No, citar alguien is quote, okay, to say exactly the same words, quote. But cite, it's to give the credit. It's to say who said, when he said that, and where, what page or paragraph. You can put para instead of, if it's a website, yes, educational website, so you can put, there is no page. So what am I going to put? Count paragraphs, and you can put para tres. So para means paragraph, okay? If there is no date, because sometimes they just keep the blog, educational blog, and there is no date. So in Spanish, you can find SF, which will be sin fecha, right? And in English, ND, no date, ND, yeah? So as I said, there are 2 ways to cite within a text. Within a text, you will put at the end of the quote, paraphrasing a summary, author, just last name, no names, only last name, comma, date, which is a year, comma, page. It's una manera, one way to cite. But I suggest to interchange. Don't use always the same way of citing. So maybe if you have another secondary source, so use the other way. For example, Depens Temes, which is 2 last names of the authors, and then you have year, always after last names, year, and you say found that, or stated that, mentioned that, And well, if you notice, it's always past simple. Always. It's the appropriate tense to use. Okay, another phrase that you always can use, also very common, according to Depp and Stammes, year, and then paraphrasing or quote. Yeah, but in this case, guys, you will put at the end of the quote page. Okay, so here we don't put together with the year. If you have within a sentence style, right? Like signaling, yeah, the source, then the page will be at the end of the sentence, not the paragraph, the sentence. Yeah, so these are just two ways to cite within a text. And reference, well, remember that according to APA, we use only author's name, comma, and initials of the name. We don't write complete name, initials. After that, you need to have a date of publication, and then continuous title of the article, maybe title of the book if necessary, location of publisher, and then at the end, if it is also available online, then you provide retrieved from, and then you give the link. Yeah, so just giving the link is not appropriate in academic writing. Okay, so you need to give a complete information of the source. Well, another common mistake, guys, I see that sometimes you read educational research from other students. So what happens is that they are, for example, or let's take well-known names, Krashen and Bloom. You probably heard these last names, right? Krashen, Bloom. Okay, Bloom's taxonomy. Yeah, okay. So these are two authors. So maybe Krashen was reading educational research of Bloom. So he is paraphrasing his words. So he would put it, according to Bloom, blah, 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 this year. And then he will finish supporting his research, his ideas. Okay, so then what happens is, guys, that in the text, you write Bloom, but in the references, you are giving Krashen. It cannot happen. Okay, what happens then? If you find that Krashen citing Bloom, then you need to go to the references and find the book of Bloom. So you go to Bloom book, read, and you cite Bloom. And in the references, you will have Bloom, not Krashen. Okay, because you take idea of Bloom. So for this reason, Krashen gives you reference. So you go to original source, and you don't have this misunderstanding with the in-text citation and reference citation. Yeah? Okay? So, well, basically, what I mean here, if you have in text McFarlane, 2004, page 90, so the reference must be McFarlane, 2004, not 2005, because sometimes the same author cites his own book. So you will have the same author, but different years. Okay, so you would need to also pay attention to that. It must be the same reference and in-text citation. Okay, and well, structure. Actually, sometimes I also use the hamburger to explain the text structure. We studied narrative, descriptive, persuasive, and expository. You notice expository is the one text that will be supported by secondary sources, is the one style, or let's say type of text that you will be using for research paper. Yeah, so expository, because it's where you're going to give information supported by secondary sources. Yeah. So basically, what I do is I usually explain that introduction is like our upside down triangle. Why? Because the white part means that we start with the general idea, general statement, moving to the peak. And peak means specific, more specific, which is thesis. This is where comes your opinion. In introduction, you provide your opinion using the thesis. Okay, for example, you will be talking about generally online classes have become very popular these days due to the pandemic, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so, and then you have thesis statement. From my point of view, taking online classes has not only benefits, but also disadvantages, right? Drawbacks. So what it means, your opinion is that you need to consider both. And your text will be about what? You will have two body paragraphs. One will be about what? Benefits of online classes. And second body paragraph will be about what? Drawbacks, the disadvantages of online classes. So the thesis statement helps us specifically understand what we're going to talk about in the text. Because general, if you say like online class is very popular, so but what can we talk about? Online classes, we can talk about reasons, we can talk about comparing with the other, where you can take online classes. So there are different ways you can write the text about. But in my thesis statement, I will give specific information what I will be talking. I will be just talking about advantages and disadvantages. That's it. Okay? I don't know why they are taking or where they can take online classes, but this is what my text will be about. Yeah. So, and now conclusion, why it is a triangle like this? Because you start with the opinion. So you will probably start like, in conclusion, in my opinion, we need to consider not only the benefits of online classes, but also disadvantages. So you're restating your thesis, stating your opinion, and then moving on to a general, wider. Here you can give a suggestion. For this reason, before you consider taking online classes, I suggest you investigate or you research information about what is more convenient for you. Okay, what are your habits? What are your skills? Will you be able to do it online? Yeah. So basically, that's the suggestion, maybe. Okay, or we can have precede something. For this reason, many people agree that face-to-face classes will disappear in the near future because online classes are taking over. Well, that can be your prediction, right? Kind of. So that's why it's a general idea. Okay. So that is the paragraph. Another thing that I noticed about formatting, main mistake, formatting. Remember that we have paragraphs. There is one bottom that is called tab in your keyboard. Please check it. Can you see? Do you have computers? They said tab and those fletches. When you click on there, you will have indentation. In Spanish, you say sangria. Is that correct? Yeah. So it's like a space from the beginning to the first line of the paragraph. So instead of having space between paragraphs, which is in academic writing is kind of not correct, especially double spacing. It's complete error. Okay, no double spacing between paragraphs. So consider first indentation instead of space between paragraphs. Okay, so that is my suggestion for formatting. Well, generally that's the main idea about formatting that I consider discussing. Okay, so, and well, this is the outline, yeah? So outline will always has two things. One, we use indentation. Can you see how the idea is indented? Yeah. So one main idea, then you have a secondary supporting idea, and then you have additional idea, and then secondary more like details to those ideas. Yeah. So you will have indentation. But another thing that you will have Roman and Greek numbers and capital and small letters. Yeah. So that is what outline is about. And usually they are phrases, not complete sentences taken from the text. Yeah, so it's like just main idea of what the paragraph is about, main idea what is the supporting idea is about. Yeah, so generally this is what outline is, and you can use it when you're reading, so you create your outline. Before you write, you can create your outline so you can have organized ideas. Or if you have not done it, do it when you finish your essay, so you can actually see if the old ideas are related to each other. So outline helps you see like a kind of a structure of your writing. Okay. So I think I have just 2 minutes. So, and I just have few points with you to finish. I don't have the paid one anymore. So I have 40 minutes for the session. Can you do me a favor? I will close the session and come back in a minute too. So you come back so we can just finish and you can also clarify your doubts. Okay? Yeah. So I will close
Yes.
it and we will be back. All right?
Yes.
Okay. So see you in a moment.